Hey, what's up everybody? Coach Kyle here, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for future content, and look back at old videos. There's a bunch of them. Today I want to do a little rundown of an article I wrote for Reddit. I have a weekly column there, and for the running section. And for this video, I wrote about overtraining. So I wanted to go through a few of the highlights and pieces of information related to overtraining. So first off, the top quote that I used for the entire article was that recovery isn't just important, it's a biochemical necessity, by Vern Neville, Dr. Vern Neville. And I feel the word overtrained is thrown around a lot, but there's a difference between being tired, sluggish for a few days, a week, and being truly overtrained, where you have a syndrome of overtraining, a variety of symptoms. So I started off with what isn't overtraining, and there's something called functional overreaching, and functional overreaching is defined as the period of time after a long run or a solid training week or month. It's the period of fatigue following high training load with or before a period of rest. So it's the day after a long run, or the week after your highest volume week ever. That would be functional or short-term overreaching, and that is a necessity. Supercompensation is when your fitness goes up and down, but your fitness can't go up without being broken down. So think an easy example is like bench press. If you just do, 10-pound bench press, you're never going to get sore, you're never going to do damage, you're not stimulating your muscles. But you must lift weight, lift to failure. You're doing a lot of damage to the soft tissue. That is functional short-term overreaching because you're fatigued after that very difficult workout. But your fitness goes down and then it goes back up. Your body super compensates. That's how you get stronger. It happens in the micro over a week in relation to short-term workouts. Like the first time you do the bench press, you're going to go way down, but then you'll go up. But it also happens over the long term, the macro view, over months and years. You go up and down, but there's a gradual up trend. So then I go, what is overtraining? Overtraining is a longer term, often 2+ months, where you simply cannot get out of a funk. And this is typically after a period of rest or low volume. So you've rested, and you're still just kind of hitting that plateau. Symptoms here are no longer just physical, but according to the position statement on overtraining by the European College of Sports Psychology, symptoms are also psychological, neurological, endocrinological, and immune related. So your immune system goes down. Your mood is a great indicator. If you're depressed, depression can be an indicator of overtraining. Also, the tricky part is that since overtraining is a syndrome, it's a collection of symptoms. So basically, when doctors, when they say, okay, you're overtrained, what they often do is they rule out a bunch of other potential causes. And because a lot of these things, like if your thyroid is causing issues, that could be mistaken for overtraining syndrome, when it actually it's something else is wrong. But the symptoms of liver problems or whatever, depression, those symptoms are symptoms of overtraining at the same time. That's where it gets kind of difficult. I talk about why is overtraining a risk, and part of the big reason why overtraining is a risk is because, like I said before, you have to kind of push the envelope a little bit to get better. You have to run hard. You have to increase your volume. You have to run, you have to do a higher percentage of your workload at a hard effort over time. So you're increasing the stimulation, and it's necessary for continued growth. But that's also how overtraining happens, is if you continue to progress without proper periods of rest, recovery, and adaptation. And one of my all-time favorite quotes is from U.S. Weightlifting Coach of the Year, Mike Bergener, who said, this is very important, there is no such thing as overtraining, only under recovery. And I mean, technically overtraining is a thing, but it's basically under recovery, because you can prevent overtraining by practicing proper recovery adaptation methods. Also, one common thing with overtraining is that very motivated athletes are more susceptible to it, because often, let's say you hit a plateau, and there are two options when you hit a plateau or you even experience a decrease in your ability to run well. You have two choices. You can rest, take a little period of rest, or you can push harder, add more volume. And the motivated athlete might try to increase. But if they're experiencing or they're getting into that realm of overtraining, the correct choice was to pull back and rest a little bit. So especially those motivated athletes are really at a higher risk of developing overtraining. And if they're motivated, they might even push too much, too far, too long in the first place before overtraining is even a consideration. Let's see. How can you tell if you are overtrained? Symptoms include, and you'll see that, like I said, symptoms are, there's a huge variety. If you're overtrained, you might experience some of these, you might not. You might experience all of them. You might experience just a few. If you have some completely other random issue, you might experience some of these symptoms, such as losses in joy of life, loss of desire to train and compete, weight, ability to recover both decrease, your ability to fight infections goes down. You might experience lower exercising heart rate, blood lactate levels, and your heart rate variability will decrease. So heart rate variability comes up a lot in the discussion with this topic. And a healthy individual has high heart rate variability, and this is the time between heartbeats. Somebody who is experiencing overreaching, overtraining, actually has less variability between heartbeats, which it's surprising that a healthy individual has more difference, but that's how it goes. That's one way. That's actually quite an accurate way to track your training load, your need for regeneration, recovery, is heart rate variability. So I'm going to download an app, and a couple people I think recommended this app. It's HRV4, I think it was. Let's see. I want to make sure I tell you the correct. HRV4training.com is the website, and it's the app. It's $10, and hopefully it's accurate, because I've tested a couple free ones and they can't even get my heart rate correct. And these are ones that use the flash and the camera on the phone. So I'm going to try this paid app. Maybe it's accurate. Free ones have not been helpful. Let's see. So heart rate variability, mood is also an indicator, because often depression or just lack of interest in running or competing or running fast comes along with overtraining. So that's something to be mindful of. My wife has a wellness wheel app where she just puts every day, every morning, she puts in scores for like basically any category you want: physical, mental, friendship, household, nature, and she can track those over time. So just like tracking resting heart rate in the morning and heart rate variability, you can track your wellness and your happiness and watch for trends. And the most important part about watching trends is observing what influences the trend, if it goes up or down. So that's something that can be very helpful with anybody who is trying to improve their athletics, because it's a very physical and mental thing, to run more harder, etc. So some of the questions that I asked for the readers are about heart rate variability, recommendations for testing it. Suunto, I believe, Fitbit, Polar, all have options. I'm sure Garmin does have options with their heart rate monitors to track heart rate variability. Apparently, according to the readers and commenters, the optical one doesn't work nearly as well, or maybe at all. They might say it does, but it's just not accurate enough to track the super slight differences between heartbeats. So the chest strap is optimal, I believe. I'm going to test out the little finger one to see if the paid app can hold up to accuracy. But yeah, please let me know in the comments below. Have you tried heart rate variability? I'm really interested in this. It's something I've heard about for years, but I've never actually tested it myself. So I'm looking forward to testing and tracking my heart rate variability. If you've experienced overtraining, I'm also really interested in knowing what you did before developing overtraining syndrome, and what you did to hopefully resolve it. So yeah, let me know. I'm super curious. The more I know, the better I can help my athletes, the better I can help you. So you keep running, I'll keep coaching.